Welcome to It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. What is it? It's everything. Everything you want in life starts with courage. So Jen, you've got a new trainer.
I do.
I saw her. She looks phenomenal. How's it going?
It's going. She's kicking my butt for sure. Yes.
You're what, about a month in?
I am about a month in. And I'll tell you this. So she does like a lot of personal training and some classes. And so when I go in there, it's just me and her, and it's a small gym. Mm-hmm. And she has me doing all these weird exercises that I've never done before. And I'm like, oh my God, if anybody else saw me doing this, I would freak out. But, I was really inspired to get this fitness coach because I coach real estate agents and they pay me to help them grow their business. And I always say like the fitness part of things in my life is my downfall, is the hardest thing for me. And so I was like, man, these people are paying me to help them. So let me pay somebody to hold me accountable and all of that with them. So last week she went to her competition in Texas for like this world bodybuilder competition, and she won. She's amazing. But
she looks phenomenal, guys.
She sent me these workouts to do at Planet Fitness, like where I'm a member. Yeah. And so the first day was legs, and I was like, okay, I kind of got this. And then she sent me the second one for Wednesday, and I didn't know any of what they were. So I was trying to Google them to see what they were. And then all the men were on the bars, and I was like, I feel very self-conscious and not knowing exactly how to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And they have all these weights on these bars. And I was like, screw it. I'll just wait till she gets back. So I didn't do it.
And all I'm saying is, Jen, you could have called me to say, hey, how do I do this?
I could have, but it was in the moment, in the gym. You were probably at work. But
what's the hardest part been this month? Getting into it. The idea, I assume, is to stick it for it.
I'm actually having fun with it.
Good.
I'm not I don't dread it. I like how I feel afterwards. I like it being a one-on-one training situation because I like the accountability.
Yep.
But the workouts have been different every time. It's not the same things. A bunch of different exercises. Like yesterday, she had me there's a bench, like a bench press bench So she was like, okay, the first exercise we're going to do is you're going to get on your hands and knees and face this way. Then she had a machine where you flip it, and then you can do squats and stuff. And then you just flip the thing forward and it hooks back on. So she was like, okay, you're going to sit on your hands and knees, and then you're going to take your foot in your middle of your foot, and you're going to place it on this bar, and you're going to do lift your leg back. And her leg went sky high. And I looked at her, I was like, you are nuts to me to think that this is possible for me. But you know what? I did it. And she was like, possible. See, you did it. And I would have never
The hardest part is getting started, trying. You'll be surprised what you can do when you just get into it. But you know what I love about this? I love that it's just before the new year.
Yeah.
And here you are diving into goals that typically I think a lot of us out there, we have finished Christmas, the New Year's just around the corner, and it's resolution time, New Year's resolution. And you know what? They're usually good, but I think most times we set these goals for ourselves without really a real plan on how to execute. So I was thinking maybe today we could talk about cultivating good habits to help you reach, or how to cultivate good habits to help you reach your goals. And I say that because I had this really interesting conversation with our sound engineer. And we were just talking about being happy. So one of my goals is always just finding happiness for myself, not because of somebody else, not because of anything. And I remember saying to her, again, not because I've been unhappy in my life, but that a goal of mine when I moved to the US was just to discover myself and just be happy with me. So I thought maybe that was one of my goals. I don't know what your goals are out there, Jen, what your goals are. But for me, a big part of finding my happiness and reaching that goal of being happy is self-acceptance. And self-acceptance being the ability to accept all your attributes, whether they're positive or negative. And it just really helps you acknowledge and understand your character traits and habits. And these are things that this is what has helped me, again, accept, acknowledge myself, and be happy. So as we enter into the new year, Jen, you're already attacking one goal right now.
Yeah. It's always the goal, right?
Yes.
Every year.
Every year.
It's just like to try to be healthier. Like the way that I look at it is it doesn't really matter how much money you make, how successful you are, how many friends you have, how good of a person you are. Like at the end of the day, the people that care about you and your family, your kids, your spouses, at the end of the day, they want you here with them.
Right.
And it's all about getting healthy, not to be like taking selfies in a bikini and
but sometimes if you look
in Mexico, it's about just living longer and being here for my kid and my husband and just being they don't care where we go or what we do, but they do want me there with them. Yeah. And so it's something a lot of us struggle with just on a daily basis, but we've got to keep making it, keep trying, and maybe 2022 will be our best year yet.
Yeah. So when you make goals and set goals, is there what goes into it habit-wise? What habits do you put in place, or where do you find guidance on how to cultivate good habits that will make you successful? Because you are a very successful woman. Well,
you guys know I like to read, right? And I read this amazing book. This might be my favorite book of all time. Actually, I just read it again last week. It's called Atomic Habits, and it's by James Clear. And if you are looking to create better habits and more success in your life in 2022, I definitely would recommend getting that book, listening to it, reading it, and just soaking everything in, because he makes a ton of great points. And some of the things he says is we don't rise to the level of our goals. We sink to the level of our habits.
Ooh.
Or we sink to the level of our systems.
Right.
And our systems are the things that help us create the habit, which will then help us reach the goal. Right. So if we're going to say we're going to go running every day, if you don't know where your running clothes are, or your shoes, or your headphones, you're going to, possibly just kind of talk yourself out of doing things. But if you're proactively getting all your clothes together, putting your running shoes by your bed, putting it where you're going to trip over it, every morning you're going to see that and you're going to remember your goal, but you have a system in place to help you create that habit. And you want to put, when you're trying to create new habits, you want to make it really, really obvious, but some of us might be trying to stop doing a certain habit, whether that's scrolling through social media or checking our email all the time. So maybe it's we've got to take those apps off our phone or things like that to make it harder to do. So James Clear has a lot of good tips and tricks for you if you are trying to create good habits for 2022. Another thing I would say is when you have a habit, a lot of us, health is one of those, right? And there's so much that goes into health, right? It's not just exercise, or it's exercising, it's eating right, it's sleep, drinking all this water, doing all the things, giving up alcohol, all these things. And so I think so many people are like, okay, January 1, I'm going to do everything and I'm going to get healthy.
Yeah.
But then you get there and you're like, oh my God, I got to eat vegetables and I got to drink a gallon of water and I got to go work out. And it's like, you can't really do all of those things
at one
time. That's just
and keep track.
That's right. You got to like make smaller changes and then build on those. And then over time, you're creating great habits and you're going to crush your goals. So
this is the perfect time for me to mention something that you haven't mentioned yet. And maybe you're going to mention it. So Jen, was it last year, a year and a half ago? 2 years.
So maybe 2 years ago.
Oh my goodness. So I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, I once posted about the habit tracker. And what Jen and her friend created is this book. Mm-hmm. It's got all the months of the year, January to December. And the idea behind this book is, as Jen was saying, you come up with all these things that you're like, I want to do this. I need to eat healthy. I need to exercise. I need to drink more water, get more sleep. And what this habit tracker does is it breaks things down. So you start off with one thing.
Yeah.
And you'll say, okay, every day I'm going to make sure I drink 8 glasses of water or whatever it is. And you go to that book every day and it's like what do you call it? Like a puzzle, a picture puzzle. And it's split up to 365.
Yeah, the first picture is like a mountain because you start in January. And so every day that you do your habit, you color that day off. And so the thought process behind it is just like you don't want to skip a day because you don't want to not be able to color that mountain. But also some of our habits that we do or some of the things that we do, like you do for a day or a week or a month, and it's like hard to really see any progress, right?
Yes.
Like that, there's different kind of things in life where I know for me, like I was a soccer player and I would go to practice all the time, but I never really like got off the field and was like, oh, like I got so much better at this or that. Like there's just this small change in you and you get a little better, but it's not anything you can really track.
Right.
The other things, like the first time I bought a house and there was carpet in our master bedroom, me and my husband took all the carpet out and we laid tile on the floor. And I just kept looking at that floor tile and it was like instant gratification. We went from something being like ugly to something like changing right away. And I never really had anything in my life where there was that difference right away. And so the whole thought behind the habit tracker is that, sometimes like drinking 8 cups of water every day, you may not see a big result for 6 months of doing that. But like if you're keeping it on that tracker and you're seeing, it gives you a visual of the work that you've been
doing. Yep. And just so you can be proud as well, because I think most times, even though it's a habit tracker that you want to track every single day, let's say you do have that one day where things just don't go right. Some of us can beat ourselves up about it to be like, I was doing so well. Now everything is going wrong. Let me just stop. I think it's also a great visual to just show you how well you have been doing. Yeah. It may be one day, but look at all these other 35 that you've managed to complete.
Yeah.
It's that one missing. It may just be that you go into January 1st, 2023 and go back and color that day.
Yeah. So
to say that you got it done. I like that.
So we have some extra ones if anybody wants one.
Absolutely.
Send some out.
Yes. So be sure to comment, visit us on Instagram on this post. I'm sure we'll make a post about this. Let us know. Say habit tracker, and we'll get to you so that we can get one of these out to you.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So Kat, you said, you wanted to be happier and be happy in 2022. What are the systems that you're putting in place to make sure that you accomplish that?
So obviously in wanting to be happier, there's this saying that there's no amount of self-improvement that makes up for a lack of self-acceptance.
Ooh, child. With the one-liner.
When I tell you, and you like to do quotes. I don't often do quotes, but I did find this quote and really being it about self-acceptance, it's that today you are you. That is truer than true, right? Like there's no one else alive that is more you than you. So really finding my happiness with self-acceptance was I really put 4 things into place. I know a lot of people talk about meditation. I wouldn't quite call it meditation. It's just about being aware of myself. So I spent a little time with my thoughts in my mind, understanding, just feeling what I'm feeling, letting thoughts run through my mind. It's not about changing the thoughts, but just accepting that, okay, how often do you think about the way you think? I don't think a lot of us think about that often.
That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother topic for sure. So really, it wasn't about changing negative feelings into positive feelings. It's just accepting like, okay, these are the feelings that I have and these are the thoughts that I have. And that's all it was, just being aware of myself. And I stopped rating myself. So a big part of me, as I've spoken about growing up, lost my parents when I was younger. And I remember there was a stage in my life where I watched all my nieces and nephews grow up. And I just remember always comparing and rating like, oh, this is how they're growing up. They get to experience this. Their parents get to go and watch this. And now this is no fault of their own or anything like that, but also just accepting what my life is, accepting my own capabilities and not rating myself, not comparing myself to others. If I see something that inspires me, leave it as just that inspiration, not to tell myself, oh, you don't do this as well, you don't do that as well. I think that's a big part in self-acceptance. You're not comparing yourself. It's just about you. And gratitude. Gratitude has been the biggest part of it all for me. Some people do this by journaling, just writing down a few things. I know, Jen, you've talked about this a couple of times. Writing down at the end of the day, what are you grateful for today? What are you grateful that you have accomplished or that you're doing well? Not always about other people, but about you, the things that you've accomplished, that you're achieving. And lastly, understanding and forgiveness. I think we, as people, are great at saying, oh, people aren't perfect and, we're really just trying our best. But do you ever have the same grace towards yourself to tell yourself, you're just human, you're doing your best, this is the situation you're in? And I think with gratitude and understanding, you really do feel happier because you're not trying to change anything. You really just accepted the moment for what the moment is and what the situation is. And I think that's helped me become happier because I'm not constantly trying to change things. I'm not, constantly comparing myself. Now, it's human nature. That's that thing. Telling myself it's human nature, but I do feel happier. There are things that I continue to work on, but I do feel happier.
I think there is some like chemical in your brain, like when you show gratitude, when you think about things that you're grateful for, it does change your thoughts and your feelings. It's chemical, I think.
Yeah. So those are the habits that have helped me reach and continue to reach this state of happiness.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have for today.
And I hope, out there, what are your goals for 2022? And as you go into 2022, what habits or what is your plan to, make sure you reach these goals? It doesn't have to be attack. As Jen said, it doesn't have to go from carpet to wood flooring the next day. It can be gradual.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, peace out. See you next year.
Whoop.
Thanks for listening to this episode of It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. If you like this episode of the podcast, visit our website, ISWCpodcast.com, for show notes and other cool things.